It's a brand new day, we've got a brand new vlog and a brand new intro. Welcome back to Temple Park Golf and Country Club. As I mentioned, today we're going to be rating my shots honestly, and we're going to see how expectations and reality might not be what you think it is. So over here we have the first hole. It is a par 5 hitting a driver off the tee. So right after I hit this shot, I will show you what I'm talking about in terms of rating and what I will be using as a way of measuring my rating, and it's going to be out of 10. So as you can see, direction and shot shape kind of go hand in hand. So for that shot, it did not start on line like I wanted it to, and it drew too much, so I was not very happy with that shot shape or the direction. Distance wise for the driver does not really make that much of a difference. Contact for the ball was definitely not very good, and that is why it produced the shot shape and direction that I did not like. So for this shot, I'm only giving it a 3 out of 10. So as you can clearly see, a not desirable tee shot left me in a not desirable place. I'm in this bunker here, but it is a par 5, so all I'm really trying to do is get it out of the bunker. So for this shot, I would rate it pretty good, 8 out of 10, because it basically started on line, did exactly what I needed it to do, and gave me a good place positioning for my third shot into the green. So third shot, as I mentioned, my second shot left me in a good position. I have 105 yards into this green. It is early in the morning, so I'm taking more club here, hitting a pitching wedge and just hitting a half shot. As you can tell, the ball is a little bit below my feet, so I was expecting a little bit of a push, but it actually went left. So for this shot, the direction I would say is only a 6 out of 10 because it did not start where I wanted it to, and definitely did not do what I wanted it to, but distance wise, it's still a 9 out of 10, so it left me in a good position for a putt for birdie. So as mentioned, gave myself a putt for birdie. It was about a 25-footer for birdie on the first hole, a little bit uphill, left to right. And as you can see, it broke a lot more than I thought it was going to, and left me with this 3-footer coming back for par. Hole 2 is a par 3, and as you can tell, a beautiful one. The pin today is front right, so we need to make sure we have enough club to carry it all the way there. If not, you're going to be chipping. So I'm hitting an 8 iron here, and I hit a pretty good shot, but as you can see, the contact was not 100%, and that's why I gave it a 7. And thus the distance got a 7 as well. But after that, you can see I'm just about 20 foot short of the pin, so I still have a putt for birdie.
Well done.
So immediately I want to show you guys this over here, because the tee box was actually sloping downwards, so you definitely need to pay attention to tee boxes. I feel like a lot of times people do not actually notice things like that, and even from this camera view you can't actually see it, but it's sloping downwards, which actually makes the ball tend to have a little fade or even a little push. So a little bit of the reason why I have to give a little bit of a confession. I actually was putting my ball there because I thought the camera could not see the left side of the tee box. On a normal basis, I would definitely tee off more towards the left side of this tee, so I have more space, and I hit a pretty bad shot. So I pushed it. The direction was definitely not where I wanted it to go. Shot shape was a push, so definitely a really low score for that. Distance, contact, just overall a not good shot. So left myself in this rough here, and as you can tell, I should be hitting a hybrid because it is still quite far and this green is elevated. But with the lie, there was just no way I was going to get a hybrid to go high enough and to be solid enough to get it close, so I decided to go with a 5 iron. With this 5 iron, I knew that it was not going to get much height, and chances are it would have to be a really solid shot for it to get on the green, because there is a bunker in front of this green. So my main goal here was to hit it solid enough that it carried that bunker, just to make sure that I could give myself a chip. So even though it was not the best shot, and even though it's not on the green, I still give this shot a 7 out of 10 because the direction was good, shot shape was good, distance was a little bit iffy, but because of the rough, we can't really say much. And that is very much something that I want to talk about. Sometimes you just have to hit the best shot that you can given the situation, and that might still not leave you in a good place. Or sometimes you hit a good shot and have a bad result. That is just part of golf. I kind of left this part in because I thought it was quite funny to see how when I was walking up to the green, this almost looked like I was in some desert somewhere and I was hiking up this huge mountain. But this is one of the things about the greens here at Temple Park. It is actually most of the greens are elevated, so there's a little bit of a big hump before the green, which makes it difficult when the pins are close to the edge, because if you land it on the green, chances are you're going to roll over, and if you land it short, it's going to be very, very difficult to bounce it up. So that is definitely a challenge here at Temple Park. If you've ever played here, you would know this, but it is definitely not easy to chip when you miss the greens. So this was the putt that I had for par. I hit an okay chip from where I was. The greens here are also very, very hilly and slopey, so you definitely need to land it in the right area. And over here, honestly, I saw an uphill putt, so I hit that pretty firm, and it actually was a downhill putt, so definitely left myself in a lot longer position than I wanted to. And I'm gonna put my friend's putt in here because he's aiming left edge of this for this putt, and I was almost on a very similar line, so I was thinking I should take the same line as him, but in reality, if you really looked at how I putt past, it was definitely the opposite direction, and as you can see, my putt broke the opposite direction. And that's why I normally don't look at other people's putts, because I find that it would just make you doubt your own instincts. So a beautiful double bogey there out of nowhere, kind of didn't even get into any trouble, but that just goes to show, it happens to all of us. So let's move on to hole 4, which is a pretty short par 4, just hitting my driver down there. And as you can see, pretty good driver, pretty much happy with almost everything. Is just obviously not as perfect as it could have been. I would like it to be a little bit higher, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky here. A good way to think about this whole experiment that I'm doing here is almost as if I were to ask you to hit your ball with your eyes closed, not seeing the result, how much would you actually rate that shot based on the contact that you feel, or the sound that you hear, or what kind of shot you think it is? Or also, if another way to think about it is, if we completely take the pin out of play, you just have an empty green, you pick a spot, try to start it on the line that you want, try to have the shot shape that you want, the contact that you want, the distance that you want, what would you actually rate your shot? So I only rated that a 5 out of 10 because it wasn't that great of a shot to me, but I'm still giving myself a birdie opportunity here. So what I want to try to say here is not that I'm trying to say I'm super great, but great shots don't always give you good results, and bad shots don't necessarily mean bad results. You just need to find a way to make those bad shots have good results. So that is what we're trying to do here, and that is how you're going to lower your scores. So this is hole 5, a par 4, and it is 385 yards. So again, hitting a driver, and as you will be able to see, hit a pretty decent shot. But I only rated a 7 out of 10 because, to be honest, it was not the best shot. The contact wasn't great. It was a little bit too low, and because I hit down a little bit too much on it. But I know that a shot like that is going to go really far. It's still in the fairway. It's safe. And it's probably going to be a big runner. So you don't necessarily always need perfect shot, especially for the driver. This is something that I actually had to teach myself. You don't need a perfect shot. You just need a shot that's going to keep you in play, because the driver, unless you're going for the green, is just, honestly, it's almost just like a layup shot. So this was my approach to this green. I had 126 yard, hitting a 9 iron here and a punchy one, and I would say that was not a perfect shot, but almost as close to perfection as it could have been, and it left me with a little 3-footer tap-in birdie. So what you're gonna see here on hole 6 is exactly what I was talking about before, that you don't need perfection, but you do need a shot that's going to get you in play good enough, So over here, this drive, honestly, I would only rate it a 4 out of 10. Everything was very, very mediocre, but I am still just on the right side of this fairway. So really nothing much. I mean, there's nothing, obviously if I hit it more left, I could have been closer to the green, but I still have a shot straight to the pin. Nothing's blocking me. And for my second shot, I'm hitting this 6 iron. Honestly, pretty good 6 iron. I would rate that an 8 out of 10. And you would think for a shot that's rated 8 out of 10, I would be giving myself a birdie. And I still gave myself a birdie putt, but as you can see, it is still pretty far. I still had about 36 feet to the pin. So it's definitely not a gimme birdie, and it's not even a gimme 2 putt. So you would be quite surprised to see that a shot rated 8 out of 10 is this far from the pin. So results are not everything. Sometimes you just have to remember a good shot is something that's in the center of the green and something that's going to give you a par. Nothing really beats having a bunch of good friends to play golf and have fun with. So let's move on to this hole, which is a par 3. I hit an almost perfect shot, as you can see there, but I am still a long ways from the hole. But it's still a birdie putt, and it is something that you can't complain about. Sometimes you hit a perfect shot and it's just not as close as you would like it to. But what's important is you give yourself a go for it and make a tap-in par. So this is hole 9. It is 370 yards, but it is uphill, so it will be playing longer. I told myself here that I'm always hitting it towards the right side, so let's go more towards the left side where there is more fairway. And I hit a decent shot. Again, not the ball flight that I like, but actually end up running out of fairway. Had this 8 iron here from 143 yards, as you can see, a little bit downslope in the rough, and probably the second best iron shot after the one that I just hit on that par 3. So I had this putt for birdie, and I must say, if you do come play at Templar, you should always give yourself an uphill putt, because as you can tell, the uphill putts are so much more friendly. You can actually go for them and a tap-in par on the 9th hole. And welcome to the back 9. So for this 9, I'm not going to write down on the screen. I'm just going to discuss with you guys how I actually felt that shot was, and kind of discuss the results, because I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say now. So this is my tee shot on hole 10, and honestly, that was maybe a 3 out of 10 shot. It was not the best. I didn't really like that. I do not like that shot when I hit it, so definitely not saying that's a good shot, but it ended up just about 2 yards left off the fairway. And as you can see, 2 yards left make a huge difference because I'm in a thick rough. So I'm hitting a pitching wedge there and actually hit a pretty good shot from where I was. Definitely do not complaining about that, and gave myself a birdie opportunity here. So as you can see here, Jen is very focused on eating right now. She has no idea what anybody else is doing, but after I eat, I will show you the putt, I swear. So as I think you can tell, just not an easy putt. It's a huge breaker, and I gave it a good roll, but you know, just was not an easy putt. And this is what I was eating, because I know you're gonna be asking me that as well. So this next hole is a par 3. It is a downhill par 3, but the pin is tucked left today. I'm hitting a 7 iron here, and I kind of wanted to play a draw and just let the draw take it to the pin, but I actually aimed it too far right, so I'm a little bit too safe. I would maybe rate that shot about a 6, because it was not a bad shot, but it definitely did not start as far left as I wanted it to. I wanted to start more in the center of the green, but it started off on the right side of the green, which left me with a much longer putt that I would like, but it was still a decent putt, just did not break the way I thought it was going to. And I think the greens here are just tricky in general because even the caddies are not giving us the right line, so it's good to know it's not just me. And we're on to the next hole, which is a par 5, and watch as a wind literally almost blows me over. I completely lose my balance on this shot. So would definitely only rate that about a 3 or a 4. It was not a great shot, but it is still somewhere down on the fairway. And unfortunately for me, it actually went into somebody's divot. So this was a layup shot, but just trying to see which club would probably get me out of the divot best, because it was sitting at the edge of the divot, so it was kind of in a little concave. So definitely I just thought I was going to hit this hybrid and punch it out there just to get it out there, because it's definitely not a hole that I was going for into. So just something that's going to punch the ball out there and get me as close to the hole as possible. So that ball just started right of where I was wanting to go, but I think it just kind of got stuck. The face got stuck in the divot and it just held it open. But you know, overall I would rate that about a 5 or a 6. Not the best shot, not the worst shot, so nothing we can do about it when you're in a divot. Let's move on to the third shot. And one of the things I wanted to say here is, you know, sometimes when you think about golf, it's quite funny because really you're just trying to trick yourself mentally. So what I'm trying to do with today's experiment as well, you can see I don't hit the best shots, and you know, sometimes it's still on the fairway, or I could hit a really good shot and it ends up not even on the green, or ends up in a bunker or something along those lines. That's just golf, you know. Sometimes if you have to trick yourself into convincing yourself that, you know, you hit a good shot and it's okay that it's not on the green, then do what it takes, because at the end of the day, as I've mentioned, results aren't the only things that matters. You know, sometimes you just need to realize that golf is hard, and no matter what you try to do, all you can really do is try to hit the best possible shot that you can in a given situation. And you know, on this hole, it's not that I've been hitting really bad shots, I've just been in really bad lies. So even in this bunker, it was in a really odd position that I couldn't get you guys a good view of it. But as you can see, I've just literally not been in a single good lie on this hole. And you know, sometimes it's golf. You just gotta take it and move on to the next hole. Do what you can with what you have on this current hole, and then just move on and realize that there are other holes left to be played. On this hole is very obvious, and I think you guys will notice this on the next few holes as well. It is so important on this golf course to know where to hit it. Over here, I didn't hit the best second shot, but I was still on the green, and I didn't hit a bad putt, but I ended up with about an 8-footer coming back uphill. It is so important on courses like this where the greens are very hilly and slopey to know exactly where to hit it, because you could be on the green and still having a ridiculously difficult putt, which, you know, your main goal is just to two putt, and even two putting is not easy. So at the end of the day, things like this, sometimes you must understand, like I don't play in Templar Park a lot, so I'm not that used to the greens, and obviously with these pin positions as well, I'm not a member here, so I do not know where the hills and stuff slopes away or towards the pin. But you just need to know, all you can do is play one shot at a time. And as you can see here, a bad tee shot, a bad second shot, but a good chip still results in a par. Hole 15 is actually a very difficult par 5. It is pretty narrow, and as you can tell, trees all around it. I hit a good tee shot which led me in a good position. For this second shot hybrid, what I really had to focus on was to tell myself to not try and draw it, which is quite the opposite of what a lot of people would do on a hole like this when it's dogleg left. But you need to realize that the more you try to draw it, the more the left side comes into play, and there's trees down the left side, and there's actually so much space down the right side. On our dogleg left, we might think we need to draw it, but really what we need to do is hit it straight. If you choose a good line, hitting it straight anywhere is always going to leave you in a good position. On this hole, again, we can see the importance of knowing where to hit it on a green when the greens are as slopey as they are here. So I'm hitting a 6-iron here and hit a good shot, ended up pin high, and as you can see from this clip, I'm pin high, but look at the putt that I have. And I thought I gave it a lot and it still breaks, and once it breaks past the hole, it just keeps going. So as you can see, that is a long putt, and you can't make all of them. So this is when mistakes come and 3 putts come into play, which is what you're trying to avoid. So sometimes, if it's a course that you're not used to, there's nothing you can do to avoid it. But if you can avoid it, know where you need to hit it.